there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and this channel is teaching tips, tools, ideas, and resources for new college instructors. Today is a follow-up to my last video where I mentioned that 2 of my courses are now free in my research library, and I'm also taking on consult calls if you want to talk one-on-one about your teaching questions. But in today's video, I thought I'd actually show you and go through the 11 ideas for Hyflex activities that are available in one of those now free courses. So there's 11 ideas that range from very small activities to a full project, as well as some PDFs and templates. So let's go ahead and look through them. And again, if you're interested, they are available for free.
All right, here's the PDF and kind of going down. Like I said, there's 11 different ideas in here. So we'll start with the icebreakers. And so icebreakers are obviously a great part of the first week of the semester. I really recommend them, and I have a whole playlist about them that I'll link below as well. But this one in particular is an icebreaker that focuses on the tool of Kahoot, which is a tool that I use often in my class for educational reasons. So I introduce it to them via the icebreaker in case they haven't used it before. And so if you go down here, again, you have instructions on the activity. I do have a tutorial as well on using it. And then I also have ideas for different prompts for your icebreakers to get know your students in a fun way and also in a helpful way for your particular course. So that's the first activity here. Works really well in the Hyflex classroom. And if you want that template, you can click here and it'll take you to my Kahoot where you can use that. The next one is a Flipgrid icebreaker. So Flipgrid I use less regularly, but it is pretty popular, especially in the high school area, I believe, but works for college as well. And so again, it describes the icebreaker here and how to create it. But there's also a Flipgrid tutorial in case you haven't used it before, and then ideas for, again, the prompts for this icebreaker. I have a list here to get to know your students in a fun way and also in a way that will get a sense of what interests them or what might interest them about your particular classroom. Next is the class bingo icebreaker. I talked about this a lot in other videos and on my blog. I do tend to enjoy doing this one when it's fully in person, but it can work as a Hyflex activity as well, and I describe how to do so here in this section of the PDF. And if you want to use the bingo card, you can just print these out for the students who are there in person, and the ones who are online can just print them out for themselves if they need to. I also have prompts for one game in case you do want to use this one instead of coming up with your own ideas for prompts. Now, moving on, Pear Deck. Again, I've mentioned a lot on my channel because it is great for creating interactive slides and it makes for great interactive lectures. And so in this case, it's templates for different slides to use in your lecture. So it gives you some information on Pear Deck and how to use it. And if you go ahead and click on it, you can get the copy of the slides that I use in my classroom. And you can just copy and paste those slides into your own lecture presentations. If you need a tutorial, there is a tutorial as well that I'll link below in the description of this video. Okay, and so again, ideas for prompts that you can use if you use Pear Deck to create interactive lecture slides. Then Mentimeter, the free version is very limited, so I don't use this one as often, but it is great for exit cards because there's a lot of great designs that you can use in the free version if you're only doing 1 or 2 cards. And so again, I describe here how to use it and give you ideas for some kind of prompts that you can use in Mentimeter. And so these prompts don't work well with things like Kahoot or Pear Deck, but some can be transformed if you don't want to use this particular tool. Okay, and so again, if you want to use these Google Slide templates, you can do so in case, again, you want to use Pear Deck rather than Mentimeter for these particular questions. And then again, ideas for different prompts to use if you're using Mentimeter. So next, this is something you copy and use for your own courses, and it's basically a checklist hyperdoc. So it's a checklist that I created, and all you have to do is you are going to put in different information that students need to know or need to do for, let's say, a particular major project. So if there's 5 steps to that project, you can go ahead and list out those steps in this checklist, do a hyperlink to each portion of that activity so that students just click and they go to that part of the activity. Click and they go to the next part and submit something. Click and so on. So it keeps them on track, and it also makes it really easy to navigate to the various areas where they're submitting elements of an assignment. Okay, and if you want to learn how to create your own hyperdocs, I do have a tutorial linked here as well. Next is week 1 student assessment. And I've talked about this before in my Successful Start series. I have a whole video specifically about this. And basically, you're getting a sense of what students know, what students feel at the beginning of your semester. And so Kahoot is being used for this particular assignment idea. And again, I describe here how you go about using Kahoot to do this assessment. And I list out some ideas for questions to ask in this activity. So you can use these or not and create your own as well. Now the next one here is the unit design survey. And again, Kahoot is just so helpful because of the free version. And in this case, you can go through and read the description, but it asks different things. So you can ask what activities do you prefer that we do in the next unit, or it might ask, well, what topics or concepts do you want to cover when we do a certain activity? So it's giving them more power to design the classroom activities. And again, I have a video below that talks about this, but it can help empower students if they feel like they are taking part in the lesson planning. So I do talk about my experience with using this approach in these 2 videos, so you can watch them on your own time as well if you're interested. And then some ideas for questions as well. The public feedback assignment, I started doing this when I started teaching in Hyflex form because I wanted to be able to get feedback in more than just written form for my composition students. And so this worked out well in my classroom. And when I had to design the last unit of the course, and I asked them, hey, what do you want to see in this unit? What activities do you want to do? The majority said, do more of this public feedback. We found it helpful to not only get feedback from our own projects, but from our classmates as well. You let us choose if you wanted basic feedback or detailed feedback, so we didn't feel iffy about asking for what we wanted. So students like this, and so I have it here as how I approach creating this particular assignment. And I have a video on it as well that I'll link below. And then at the end here, I have some ideas for applying this activity in your classroom. The class debate discussion, once again, Kahoot. I use this in person and in my Hyflex courses, so I describe how it works here. But it's a great way to give a good foundation for students for the discussion. So rather than just having them come up with ideas on their own time, you can say, okay, well, here's a question. Here are 4 potential answers. Which answer do you feel strongest about? Okay, now let's start debating. What support do you have for your answer? What support do you have for your answer? And back and forth in that way. It's a good tool to use for creating a debate activity. And then we have the discussion facilitation group project. This didn't work as well as I had hoped in my Hyflex courses because there's the issue that with your students on Zoom, they can't hear the students in person unless they're speaking right next to the mic, or you repeat what's being said right next to the mic after the student in class said so. So this can take some finagling and some discussion with your students on how it could work best, but it is something that I redesigned for the Hyflex class, so you can give it a try if you feel that it could work well for your situation. And then at the end here, in case you want it, there are additional resources, so certain playlists that you might find helpful, and blog posts as well. And then bonus is my favorite Hyflex teaching tool, and that is the Flipgrid random number name generator. And so I have a video about that as well, about how to use it if you want to use it for your classroom. So I'll link that below in case you're interested.
So if you want to grab these, the link below in case you already have access to my library, or if you need access, both are there. And again, if you want to talk one-on-one about your personal questions or want to brainstorm ideas for your class, I'll have the link to my consult call service as well. If you like this video, click like and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future videos of teaching tips, ideas, and resources.